tore my pec at record breakers, and then 3 months later I tore my quad, and then 2 months after my quad I went into complete kidney failure.
How much weight did you lose?
Initially I lost like 30 the first time, and then when I started dialysis I think I lost like 50 pounds.
Any idea what caused it?
Doing all the supplementation I did, running gear, and eating the way I was, not watching my blood pressure was probably number one. I think my test level was down to 80.
Oh my God. From a mental standpoint, it's really hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, the mental part has been hard all the way through. But when you're low test, you have low energy and even worse energy and even less focus, and you really kind of start losing motivation. It's just like you're just going through the paces. I allowed myself to feel sorry for myself in those short windows, but it's also like I'm not gonna allow myself to feel this way forever, you know. And no one's gonna do it for you.
Power Project family, how's it going? We talk about getting your lab work done all the time on this podcast, but a problem with getting your lab work done if you want to check your testosterone, cholesterol, any of that good stuff, is that it can be super expensive if you try to go through a normal doctor. That's why we partner with Merrick Health, owned by Derek from More Plates, More Dates. And the amazing thing about Merrick Health is that when you get your labs or the Power Project panel for men and women that we have on their website, these labs are extremely affordable. Literally, they could be up to 70% cheaper than what you would purchase from a doctor. So, Andrew, how can people get a hold of these labs?
Yes, on top of Merrick Health already being super affordable, when you head over to merrickhealth.com, that's MAREK health.com, and you use promo code PowerProject10, you're going to save 10% off all of the labs that you order. And if you don't know where to start, you can head over to merrickhealth.com/powerproject. Now that's going to be the Power Project panel that has over 26 different labs from testosterone, estrogen, all the important stuff that like even I can't even name off the top of my head because I'm just not the one that came up with the lab, but it is going to cover everything so that way you know everything that's going on under the hood. And when you order that, use promo code PowerProject for $101 off of that. I know that's a lot of information, but everything will be explained down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Head over there right now.
We going? Hello?
Well, now I got to edit that out, but that's okay.
Messed everything up already?
Yeah.
If you see me on my phone, I'm taking notes on what he's saying, just so everybody knows.
Because we ran out of pens.
We don't have any pens.
I'm just going to assume you're being rude. But.
No, that's why I'm prefacing this, because if you see me look at my phone, I'm taking notes.
How'd you end up in Indiana? You had a gym in Los Angeles, right? And you lived in LA for a while, right?
I lived in LA for like 12 years, and then I made the move back. I had decided to sell my studio, and I wanted to do something bigger. But there were so many gyms already out in LA, so many other barbell clubs, that I wanted to go in an area where I felt like I could really use it. So I had visited Indy, and I originally wanted to go back to Chicago, but Chicago is not a city you want to develop a business in this climate. So I think I made the right move,
I just kind of picture you like packing up a bunch of barbells in the back of like a pickup truck and like I'm going to drive out to like where they need a gym.
Dude, how'd
you end up in Indiana?
I sold everything. I sold everything in my apartment. I sold my car. I sold my gym. I liquidated everything. I moved to Indiana with like 2 suitcases and pretty good bank account, and then just restarted the whole thing.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a gamble, and it was a long process and a lot of work, but we're there now.
What's your clientele look like? I know your background's bodybuilding, powerlifting, stuff like that. What's the people at your gym? What do they look like?
Primarily powerlifters, but we're like known for being like the more serious gym in the area. So we have the more competitive guys. We got a few really good lifters. We got a few novice lifters, but like everybody there are the people that don't want to be at LA Fitness or don't want to be at Planet Fitness. So it's a little bit more advanced, I would say, the clientele.
What was it like going through all those recent like health issues? I think you had a bunch of tears, and then I don't even remember what happened, but some shit happened, like your kidney or something like that, or?
Yeah, dude, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. I tore my pec at record breakers, and then I came right home and opened up my gym that week. So I was dealing with that, getting MRIs for that. And then 3 months later, I tore my quad. And then 2 months after my quad, I went into complete kidney failure. So I'm laying in a hospital bed. They put me into the ICU. I was there for a week. They're doing all these tests. They can't figure out what's wrong with me. And then like my doctor's coming in, reading me my last rites and like asking me if I have like a will and testament in place. And I'm like, well, no, because I'm 33. And so he's just like, well, those are some things you need to think about. Because I had like vital organs shutting down and they couldn't figure out why. And my blood pressure was 260 over 140. So they finally stabilized me. We did a biopsy. They found out I was stage 5 and that I had a degenerative disease called FSGS, which stands for something that I can't even pronounce. But then they told me I would need a kidney transplant and that I would have to start dialysis. So that was all back to back to back to back, man. It was like one thing after another. You go from being in your best shape of your life and feeling like, you know, you're this invincible athlete to being like, okay, my life might be over. And that all happened within 6 months.
What was the rehab from that? Like how
Yeah, so I wasn't even done with the pec rehab when I hit the quad tear. And then with kidney disease, your protein synthesis is like shit. So you're not laying down tissue like you need to. And everything was slower. So I'm like going into these rehabs and like, you know, usually I rebounded pretty quick. Like I tore my bicep, I've had a couple under injuries, but nothing really lingered like this. So I was like, something's going on, you know, like I'm tired. I'm just not having the drive I used to. I thought I was burned out, you know, from doing the move, from opening up 2 gyms within 5 years. But it was, you know, obviously side effects from underlying health issues.
How much weight did you lose?
Initially, when they put me in the ICU, like I couldn't eat. You're just nauseous all the time. And you're eating fucking hotel food, like, hospital food. So initially I lost like 30 the first time. And then when I started dialysis, I think I lost like 50 pounds.
Did you need to get a kidney transplant?
I still do.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm on the waiting list. So I still do dialysis 5 days a week.
And then the dialysis, can you do that at home or do you have to go to a...
Well, originally I was in a clinic, and then they trained us, and you know, I have to have Lauren there with me. She does my fiance. She does. It's like they call it a healthcare provider, but she has to help me do it at home. But now we're able to do it at home. I can do it on my own time when I need to, but it's still like 4 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super annoying, super invasive, but when you don't do it, you feel sick?
Even when I do it, I feel sick. Yeah. So even when you know, dialysis is not meant to make you feel good. It's meant to keep you alive. So without these technologies, I would be dead already.
Any idea what caused it?
Yeah, you know, I think that you have the 2-strike theory, right? Like you have the genetic predisposition and then you have exposure. So I think that doing all the supplementation I did, right, running gear, and eating the way I was, not watching my blood pressure was probably number one. And just thinking that I have time later to do these things. Like, okay, I'm going to push it now. And I was, man, for a while. Like, I was getting stronger, I was getting bigger, things were looking well. Then my last 2 meets, things started coming down. Like, I would smash 600 pounds in training, and then I would get into the meet and like not have the gas to do it. And everyone's like, oh, you shit the bed. And I'm like, yeah, but it didn't feel like I missed it. It felt like I just gassed out. So I always thought it was like an endurance issue. So every beat prep, I would just start working on my work capacity, trying to build that up. And I would get stronger and stronger. But then towards the meet, I would start running more gear, and then that would make me sick. And then that was the reason why I would not be able to hit these lifts.
How are you eating then? Because like you were eating to get bigger, but like, what do you think I guess you should have changed on the eating side of things too, if you had to be more optimal in that time.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to blood pressure, so probably something a little bit more blood pressure friendly.
Yeah.
Because back then, you know, I'd eat as much as I can in the doses I could, but it was like, you know, like pretty much healthier foods, but it was just a lot of it. And I would salt everything, and then, you know, you're drinking 3 cups of coffee in the morning, then I would go take a pre-workout, and then I would go to work, and then I would drink a Bang. So you're like caffeinating.
You just described all 3 of us.
Yeah, well.
We're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
You. I haven't had caffeine today at all, or yesterday. Well, I had a little bit yesterday, but hey, just put it out there.
Yeah, well, if you have blood pressure issues, it's only going to make it worse. But if you're not having issues, like, you're going to be fine. Probably.
You think people should maybe look into their blood pressure a little bit more? Like, that seems like an easy place to start.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm a big advocate for it now. Obviously, like, I try to guide people in a way where it's like you got to take your health seriously first, because when you're young, you just feel like you have more time. Like, I could, you know, like, I was building businesses. I didn't have insurance. I was just putting all my money into trying to get ahead, thinking that once I get into the spot, I can get health insurance to take care of myself. But, you know, it was too little too late.
And I think the blood pressure has been the main culprit of a lot of these guys dying more recently. These guys having heart attacks and stuff like that. I think it's just their blood pressure is so high.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky you didn't have a heart attack with your blood pressure being that high. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and what was funny, it was initially they had thought I was going into heart failure, because they were doing these tests, and like kidneys cause heart issues and heart issues cause kidney issues. So they couldn't really tell which was which, and that's why they were like running all those tests. But when my kidneys stabilized, they looked at my heart and they're like, your heart's fine. So I wasn't having heart issues, and I'm lucky that the blood pressure didn't cause any heart issues.
Then how do you get a kidney transplant? Like, what's the procedure?
Dude, it was so hard to get on this list. It's like they make you do all these tests, and you got to, you know, you're getting drug tested, you're getting tissue type testing, you're getting stress tested. You got to jump through all these hoops. I had to get like dental exams, and all this time while trying to like keep on my business, you know. So you like have this part-time job with your medical, this part-time job with your dialysis, and then a full-time job trying to run a gym and train clients. So it took me a while to get through it all, but now that I'm on the list, I just have to find somebody that would either be willing to donate a kidney, or I have to wait on the list. And the waiting list is about 4 to 6 years, and I'm at 2.
And so when you're learning or you're going through all of this with the like the initial like hospital visits and all this stuff, are you around family? Because you were saying you're moving around a lot, or are you out by yourself?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the hospital alone. So it was a eye-opening experience, you know, like the people that you think are close to you, and you're just sitting there by yourself every day. I mean, of course, I had my fiance coming in and visiting, but it's a lot of alone time.
What would your advice be then? Like, there's a lot of athletes that are like pushing hard, right?
Right.
And maybe just like you mentioned, they are very just short-term thinkers currently. Everything's going well. Maybe they're not getting things tested. If you could like go back and do things a little bit differently, what would you do so that other athletes can take note of that?
Just keep an eye on my health, you know. I don't really have many regrets, you know what I mean? Like, I think people need to live the life that they want to live. And I don't think anything I'm going to say is going to change anything for anybody. Yeah. Because, you know, it's nothing I didn't hear. But it's, you know, just keeping an eye on your health, taking that stuff serious, and understanding that these things happen even when you don't feel sick. So it's things that can be going on that you don't even know about.
And even when you don't look sick, because you were always lean, even at your biggest, I mean, you may have felt fat for you, but you were still in great shape, especially in comparison to powerlifters.
Yeah. I mean, there was times I was holding water. Like the last meet I did, I couldn't make weight. I was trying to get down to 275, and I was a lean 275, all prep. then I had started increasing my drug dosages, and then I put on like 30 pounds in 3 weeks. Like, I was talking to my buddy Andy. He was competing at the same meet. And he's
Like, did I take these earlier today? You're like,
Yeah.
fuck it.
But I wasn't even taking a lot, you know. It was just my kidneys couldn't handle it, and I had like the worst edema anybody's ever seen. Like, I was coaching with Chad, and Chad was looking at my ankles, and he's like, "Man, you got my ankles, you know. Like, these things are massive."
Talking about Chad Wesley? Or
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
ankles are huge.
Yeah,
Your ankles were like swollen, and you had like pitted edema, right? Like where if you push on it, then it stays
like
dented in or whatever, right?
like scary. And that is why when I tore my pec, like the blood had pooled so bad. I don't know if you saw the pic, but it was like over half my body turned purple.
Wow.
Yeah. And it even got like down towards my legs.
Damn.
You able to work out much right now? Because you're still fucking big. You said you can't hold on to
Now
muscle,
you
but
can push, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've maintained decently, you know, and it took me a while to figure some things out. Like, I got out of dialysis. You know, before dialysis, I was getting pretty sick, and then dialysis brought my kidney function back up to about 20%. And there's been some ups and downs. Like, I've had a few issues with the treatment I've been getting, so it's not like an exact science. They just don't put everybody on the same plan. They kind of it's touch and go, and they still don't know everything. So it's kind of just like, all right, let's try this, let's try that. So I'm on a bunch of medication right now, and a lot of them, every bottle of the medication says do not drive or operate heavy machinery. Like, it makes you really tired and really unfocused. But I'm able to do enough, you know. Like, I have to train a lot different than I used to, and it took me a while to figure that out.
Does like certain parts of your body hurt at all, or is it like because your kidneys are inflamed, or like so does anything in your back hurt or something like that?
Kidneys cause a slew of issues that you would not even think about, and a lot of them definitely impair training. So it's like joint pain and fatigue, and you lose focus. So a lot of times I'll be like just staring at a wall, trying to like, oh my, all right, next set, you know, like trying to motivate myself. So it's been a learning curve for sure.
And are you able to be on like TRT or anything like that right now, or is everything off the table?
No, so that was actually prescribed to me after a year. So I came off everything for a year and went through all the testing, and my testosterone got so low, it was like, it was the worst I've ever felt. I had a lot more issues off of testosterone than I did when they started supplementing it. So now I see a completely different doctor, and he does all that for me.
From a mental standpoint, it's really hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, the mental part has been hard all the way through. But when you're low test, you have low energy and even worse energy and even less focus, and you really kind of start losing motivation. It's just like you're just going through the paces. But what had really happened, I was like really nauseous. I couldn't eat. I started throwing up everything I was eating, and you know, they couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I went and saw a specialist, and he's like, "Here, let's try this." I think my test level was down to 80.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was like
Next to nothing.
No, I know. It was not something I would recommend for anybody to try.
What was your athletic background? Because we've seen the video of you at bodybuilding.com, and you ran like a 4.5 or 4.6 40 or some shit, and had some crazy vertical and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
what's your athletic background?
That's when I was 290. So I was when I was Jesus Christ. I used to play football in college, and I was a little bit leaner back then. I was a little bit more athletic. I always felt like when I was getting bigger, I was losing my athleticism, which I probably should have let go, because that's how I tore my quad, was doing box jumps. So maybe if I would have stopped pushing all that, I would have been all right.
Well, how long did you play football?
A long time. I started in I think 5th grade, and that's actually how I got introduced to weight training. Was I got into high school, and my football coach made me start because I did not want to lift weights.
And with athleticism like that, did you ever think of like playing pro, or did you injure yourself, and like what happened?
Yeah, so injuries aren't anything new to me. I had a meniscus tear and a PCL tear and in college, and then when I rehabbed that, I got back on the field, and in the first padded practice, I tore my Achilles tendon. And then that was kind of game over. That was right when I think like 3 weeks later, my sister died, and then I was heavy on the pain pills and started drinking and stopped going to class, lost my scholarship, and stopped going to school. I ended up going back and finishing my degree, but my football days were over.
What flipped you out of that spot?
Reality, I was out in LA, and then you got rent to pay, and I'm not going to work, and then you spending nights in your car and deciding what kind of man you want to be and what life you want to live. And it was definitely not that. So I knew I had to clean myself up, and I knew that I had to start focusing on my career.
So with many bumps in the road throughout your whole life, it seems like, do you anchor yourself to something to keep, pulling yourself forward? Because, I mean, some powerlifters get an injury and life is over.
Right.
But you're like sitting there in your car saying, what kind of man do I want to be? And then you decide to become something. Like, what's that driving force?
I just don't give myself a choice. It's like that, I allowed myself to feel sorry for myself in those short windows, but it's also like I'm not gonna allow myself to feel this way forever, and no one's gonna do it for you. No one's gonna show up for work. No one's gonna pay my bills, and I knew I had to get ahead, and so I don't know if there's something anchoring me or what the drive is, but it's just I know what life I want to live, and I know that exactly what I need to do to get there.
I think that's huge to say, like, I gave myself a small window, but then after that it was time to get moving. Like,
right.
You weren't going to just feel sorry for yourself. And in today's day and age with like depression and anxiety, people don't see it as a window, right? They're like, oh, no. I tore my pec. This is life
but
now.
People almost identify with it. Like, there's so many injuries that I've had I've never even talked about online, and there's so many illnesses. Like, if I spent the time of the issues I deal with dialysis, it would be like the most depressing page you've ever read. And that's not the message I want to send to people, because that's not my life. My life is really good right now. Everything outside of my health, this is the best my life has ever been. But it's just like, one part of my life that a lot of people, like what you're talking about, would just identify with and talk about, oh man, how bad it is. And, it's almost like they want attention for it. And then I'll get through this, and then I'll be over it. This will just be a memory to me. A couple of years from now, I'll get a transplant. I'll not have any of these side effects that I'm talking about, and my training will get back to where I want it to be. And, everything else will be really good.
That mindset, did that come from parents? Was that just something that you always had, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, I think being out on my own early, I got out of my house when I was 17, and it was kind of like do or die, man. So like I started working 2 jobs. I started getting into the career. Next year will be 20 years for me personal training. And I'm 36. So it's, or I'll be 37 next year. So it's, I think not being coddled and having life kick you in the dick a few times kind of teaches you that mentality. And there's 2 types of people, right? Like this type of person that faces adversity and says, I'm going to figure this out. Yeah. And there's the other people that are like, I can't do this, or please help me, but I didn't have anybody. Please help me, that wasn't an option. You get sick, and my gym was still open. I got a knee tear, and gym's still open. So I got to figure those out. Like, yeah, there were some rough spots, and yeah, I had some people that helped me, and I'm grateful for that. But it wasn't wasn't like they were taking anything over or running it for me.
Do you have quite a few other personal trainers at your gym?
Yeah, we do now. When I first opened, it was just me. For like until I tore my quad, it was me there every day. I worked every day. So I was there every day. I did the marketing. I was the gym director. I was a personal trainer. I was a janitor. I did everything. I even turned into a plumber for a few months.
Do you have any advice? Because like at this point, your gym's doing pretty well. So do you have any advice for individuals who are trying to build gyms?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Why?
It's a lot of work, and I don't think people really appreciate it. It's a passion, you know, like you're not gonna become super rich off it unless you're Mark Bell and turn it into products. But it's a great living if you're passionate about it. But if you're not liking what you're doing, it's going to be a lot of work, because I'm always dealing with something, and it's nonstop.
I got some like friends and family members and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I can't wait until I, work for myself."
Yeah.
They're like, "I'm gonna take more vacation. I'm gonna do this and that." I never say anything. I'm always like, "Oh, that's cute."
Yeah, right.
Like you're gonna be more fucked as soon as you do that, because you're working 24/7 basically.
Oh, I mean, it is. And I got a phone call at 11 o'clock on a Saturday. Someone had ran through my window. Like, not
Drove through it?
Ran through a full window. We have like this piece of turf. There's a garage door that opens up right into the parking lot. They could have ran that way, but they ran right into a window and went out.
Is it like it was so clear that they didn't see that there was a window there, or like? No,
they knew. They were like trying to stop and couldn't stop. Yeah, there was a foot race between two members.
Hey, you know what? At least they called you. Sometimes shit happens in the gym and no one says anything. You're like, how'd this wall get all fucked up?
Well, we got cameras, I would have known.
Yeah.
So like the one guy called me, and then I'm looking at the camera footage, because they didn't tell me what happened.
You got to post that. That sounds great.
Yeah, I'm waiting like a couple years till the liability suits drop. But the footage is great.
So the guy that ran through the wall or the window definitely won, right? Or he just didn't have good enough brakes.
No, he actually lost.
So that makes it worse.
Yeah, right. I think he was just so mad that like the other guy beat him. He just like wanted to keep going.
He wanted to keep going. No, it's first to touch the window.
Yeah, but he got pretty messed up. So he's okay now. But he's got some Frankenstein scars. So I think he learned his lesson.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, we partner with Vertical Meals, owned by the genius bodybuilder Stan the Rhino Efferding. Now, Vertical Meals isn't your normal meal prep company. We've talked about the amount of crazy options that they have in terms of the food on their website, from the classic monster mash, steak and eggs, just steak, chicken empanadas. But a cool thing they have on their website is called RX Meal Kits. Now, you probably don't know what that is, but if you go to their website and you go to the RX Meal Kits, you can enter in your age, your gender, your height, your weight, if you're trying to gain, maintain, or lose weight, and your activity level. And that calculator is going to spit out meal options and ideas and packages for you for your plan. No other company does this. It's crazy. Stan has thought of everything. So, guys, check out Vertical Meals. And Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at verticaldiet.com. And when you guys load up that RX meal kit into your cart, use promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off that entire order. Again, so you're going to get rid of all the guesswork, all the meal prep work, because nobody likes to do that. And you're going to have these meals shipped directly from Stan Efferding's brain straight to your door. Again, verticaldiet.com. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
What drew you to go to the seminar at Barbell Brigade? Like, why were you a fan of mine, I guess?
Well, fan is a big word. I mean, I had actually met you in 2008, and you were at the LA Fit Expo with your brother. You had like this little shitty pop-up table and like a couple of slingshots on there. And I remember trying that out, and I was walking with my girlfriend, and I'm like, well, that product's never going to work, That thing's dumb. That thing's dumb. But I had followed your story since then, And Chris was the one that was trying to get me, your brother was trying to get me to meet up with you because he's like,
You'd see him at Gold's, right?
yeah, me and my tall buddy Ron. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah, that guy's huge. That guy, what's he like, 6'6" or something?
Yeah, 6'6", 300 pounds. I actually just talked to him. But
Yeah, those two walking around. It's like, what the fuck is going on around here?
yeah, he's like, you guys need, and we were playing football at the time, and he's like, you guys need to power lift. And I was like, what the fuck is powerlifting? And I like looked into it, and I'm like, looks like a bunch of guys lifting in front of each other with like spandex onesies. Like, this seems kind of gay. I don't think I want to do it.
Pretty accurate.
I don't think I want to do it, but the more I found out about it, and after football was over, I was like, I need something to do. Yeah. And I'm decently strong, let me see what I can do. But I was always comparing myself to like the best, I was looking at like, you, Dan Green, and Brandon Lilly. Stan Efferding was always a huge idol of mine. So I never really thought I was that strong compared to everybody else. And then we go to the seminar, and no one was even close. And I was like, maybe I got a chance at this. So I think that the opportunity to get into the sport was really what I was looking at. And I ended up signing up for the gym that day after talking to you.
Yeah, I think I kind of had you do like a little bit of an exhibition because you told me like what you benched, and I was just like, hey, you mind benching it now? And I think I had you bench, right?
Yeah,
in a pair of jeans, 545.
Well, you had told everybody work up to a triple. I worked up to like 595, and it was pretty easy. But like we weren't even on. I wasn't even like really strength training at that time. I was like working out at LA Fitness, and I would like try to get guys to spot me, and they wouldn't spot me. I'd be like 455 on the bench, and then or 5 plates on the bench, and I'm like, hey man, you mind lifting me off? And I'm not going to touch that. I couldn't lift that off. And so I was like, I need a community that's able to support me, and I was looking for a powerlifting gym to begin with, but that was the first day they opened at that location. It was the night that you were there.
Okay, how did you? Because you said you were benching like 5 something while working out at LA Fitness. How'd you build that type of strength at that point? Because like, first off, benching high fives isn't normal, but you weren't even focusing on powerlifting. Usually it's powerlifters that are doing that type of shit. So what was your training like when you were playing football a little bit after that? Did you always just have a propensity for being really strong?
Yeah, I mean, I think bench was something that I was decently good at. Like, I mean, my squat was probably the same at the time. But squat and deadlifting were always something that I was decently good at. Yeah. And it wasn't a strength focus, but I kind of followed that mentality of like one really heavy set and then a bunch of volume afterwards. So that's kind of how I used to train when I was like LA Fitness, and even a little bit when I was powerlifting. After I would get my top sets done, I would get back into my accessory work.
That's always tough after you do your top set and then to go do like 3 sets of 6 or something of the same exercise but with less weight. Yeah, it always feels like you got the shit knocked out of you.
Yeah, but I like that feeling. Like I enjoy it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it seems like it just fits right in with powerlifting because you were already doing that type of stuff, like the main movement plus accessories. But did you follow any certain programs when you first started powerlifting?
No, not until I joined the gym, and then I met a guy, Larry Lurker, who started doing programming for me. And I'm not even sure if he was even a real coach, like he was just like giving me templates. But he had trained one of the other guys there, Adam Rodriguez, who like my squat sucked, that, and I worked on it really hard. I think like the first time I squatted, it was like 600 pounds, and not the first time I squatted, but the first time I squatted in powerlifting, it was like 600 pounds. But I looked like a newborn deer, like my legs were shaking, and it took me.
Watching you squat was a thing.
Yeah, it was.
I was always like, dear God, I wish he would just stop.
Yeah,
he's my homie. I don't want to see him die.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I didn't want to do it either. I was like, "Cause we gotta." But I felt like I couldn't get into push pull. I just didn't have the heart for it.
Can we put some of these numbers into context at that time though? So you're squatting 600, but what were you benching and deadlifting?
About 5 bench, and then about 7, a little over 7 for deads.
And how big were you?
Like 250. That was the first time. But that's when I started powerlifting.
Yeah.
So before, but you're talking about a guy that would go to the gym by himself, go lift, and then go to the track and run for 2 hours. Like, I wasn't really focusing purely on strength. I didn't even know how to powerlift or what the rules were or anything. Like, I got into it as a newbie, and I came in with the mentality of, I'm just going to take this guy's advice and learn as much as I can. So I spent a full year with him, and then I actually had decent success. I won worlds the first year I entered, and after that, I started meeting up with you, and I got introduced to Chad. I started working with Chad Wesley Smith, and then we added like 200 pounds onto my squat.
Damn, that's huge. What was that atmosphere like training with those guys at Barbell Brigade? Because it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun.
Dude,
seemed like it was a pretty big group as well.
Yeah, we had 5 guys that all totaled 2K, and that was one of the reasons that I went there. I was like, and everybody was good at squatting. T. Papula, I think, had a world record at that time. Mason, Andy, Adam were all over 800. So I'm like, these are the guys that I need to learn from, And the atmosphere was great. It was no one had an ego. Everybody got along. We would come in. Everyone was very serious. It wasn't like.
I was just going to ask you, did they fuck around too much? Like,
no,
for your liking, or was it fine?
No.
Because Adam fucks around a lot.
But that's the funny part is he doesn't.
When it was time to train, he trained hard.
Well, and then after we hit our top sets, it was kind of like everybody could relax. But, I would keep headphones on during my warm-up. No one would talk to each other. We would all set up our own bars. And then, like, afterwards, we would, like, go grab food and go joke around. But when it was time to train, it was time to train. No one had their phones out. It was like we would maybe use your phone to record a set. But other than that, it was in your bag because you were focused on if you weren't lifting, your buddy was lifting, so you were side spotting or rapping or whatever it was. But it was a very focused group because we all had big goals, and everybody for the most part accomplished those goals. So we had a lot of success, but we also had a lot of fun.
For now, like, what does your training look like now with what you're able to do? And then let's say, well, you will get your kidney transplant. So when you are healthier, what do you think you're going to focus on? What interests you? Still powerlifting based training or anything else?
Yeah. So are you familiar with Jane Fonda with the little ankle weights? That's what I'm doing these days.
Your little step aerobics?
Yeah, no, I don't do much, man. I don't do much. Like I try to hit like 1 or 2 big lifts. But I gas out fast. So I don't really have the energy to do what I really need to do. So I've tried to do some of the bigger movements, hit a lot of muscles in a short period of time. And then I'm like, I kind of took a page from your book where it was, you train one body part a day. So no matter what, I can, motivate myself. Okay, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And it's been enough to maintain. It's surprisingly been enough to maintain.
Yeah. When I saw you this morning, I was just like, I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to go do something. And I was like, I'm just going to run down the street for 10 minutes and I'll run 10 minutes back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be that easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't always have to be that hard.
I'm definitely not running, but no.
What did you used to do running wise? Because you said you would go to the track for like 2 hours.
Yeah. I sprint work. I'm a big fan of sprint work. I think that it works very well metabolically, but also like it's a lot of muscles involved.
Yeah.
So it's a great combination. Plus it helps you with the weight training.
Right.
But to also answer your question about like what my future looks like, I do want to do one more powerlifting meet just to say like I came back, like I'm not going to do anything crazy. But I always said too, when I stop being able to hit PRs, I'm done powerlifting. Because I don't really think there's a point to compete unless you're going to beat your old numbers. Like I'm not in it just to do it. I was in it to be competitive, and now that those days are over, I think that I want to start focusing on something else. And I don't know exactly what that is yet. I'm not really focused on that right now. I'm focused on health and being healthy. And once I get to that point, I think I can make that decision.
When are you going to marry this girl over here?
End of the year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
How'd you guys meet?
Tinder.
Oh.
Yeah. Rolled the dice, worked out.
Tinder can work.
Yeah, well, not in Indianapolis. Not in Indianapolis.
What's wrong with Indianapolis Tinder?
There's just a lot. These girls are, they've been through a lot out there in Indy.
They've been through a lot.
Yeah. My age demographic, maybe in their 20s it's okay, but you start getting into your 30s, there's some baggage.
Oh, no.
That's fair. For men and women, there is baggage.
Yeah.
Did you meet, it's Lauren, right?
Lauren.
Lauren.
Yeah.
There we go. Did you meet Lauren right around the time your kidney stuff happened, or?
Poor Lauren. We met right like 3 months after my gym opened. So I was still nursing the pec injury, and she met me. I was like 280 with like no body fat, and then I tore my quad, and then lost all this weight, got into kidney failure. So I'm like a completely different person. So she like signed up for this muscle bound athlete. And now
she's got this.
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
I'm
Still muscle bound.
He looks incredible.
I'm ashamed of myself. No, but the real issue was just like all that trauma, and a lot of girls would not have stayed around. And she's been by my side. She actually moved in 6 weeks after we met because I had torn my quad. Dude, I don't have people. I don't have anybody to help me. I don't have anybody to take care of me. So, like, I had to ask Lauren because I wasn't going to be able to, like, I was peeing into a water bottle after my leg surgery because I couldn't get up. So, she had to put my pants on. She had to help me in the shower. Like, and this is 6 weeks into a relationship. I was lucky I was able to wipe my own ass, though, because I think that might have been a deal breaker.
She might have been like, peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've been through a lot together, and we're still going through it. Like I'm talking about me being on dialysis, but she has to be there to do that. And it's a lot to ask somebody, It's a lot to ask. So
did you have an opportunity to get into communication with other people that have gone through similar things? I know that sometimes at the hospitals, that's a thing, right?
Well, more so through Instagram. A lot of people have reached out. Like, I don't do the network. Lauren has done a few of like the sign up, for the kidney support groups, but I'm not a fan of those. It's just a bunch of people complaining, and I'm like, it sucks, but life is still good, and these people are just like on disability and not doing anything for themselves, and that's not motivating me to do anything. But there's a lot of guys out there that, and actually some people that you probably know that have been through it or going through it, and that have done well for themselves. Some people are post-transplanted, they're lifting again, and they're just like, this is the worst of it, so you just got to get through this, but it will get better.
Yeah. What about later on down the road getting into like masters and competing there and breaking PRs in that division?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm just trying to keep you around in the sport, that's all.
No, I'll always be in the sport, but I think my role is going to switch into being a coach. And you can just, I'll still lift. I'll still try to hit big numbers when I can. But, I've had 8 orthopedic surgeries, and now I'm going to need another surgery. And then even when I get my kidney, that's not guaranteed to be for life. I'm going to need a transplant after that. So chances are there's a chance I'll go back on dialysis. And I don't, plan on being a master's lifter going through that. It'll be something where hopefully I'll be retired on a beach and I can just chill.
Do you have plans to open more gyms? Is like what's the plans as far as the gym and moving forward with that?
Yeah, so we're in a spot right now where we're getting close to capacity. So I'm not going to be taking more members. There is an idea of opening a gym, but right now with everything else I got going on, it's just a timing issue. But for me, it's focusing on. We just launched a clothing line. We just launched some online templates. So I'm going to just grow that aspect and just keep servicing my members the best I can. Like I have 5 new pieces of equipment that are going to arrive. We're upgrading the gym more and more. So those are the things that I'm more focused on in the short term.
And then did you always want to open a gym, or was it something that like maybe lifting at Barbell Brigade that made you want to like, I think I want to do this?
Well, I think Barbell Brigade definitely inspired me, but the gym was something I always wanted to get into until I opened it.
I like that post you had the other day when you were doing your deadlifts and some of the weight went off one side and you still like pulled it anyway.
Yeah. You get frustrated, you know. It's just like, fuck it. This is how life is going. Just fucking go with it.
I think like at least 2 or 3 plates went off one side and you still lifted it.
Yeah. That's happened more than once, unfortunately. I'm not a fan of clips.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy.
You pulled over 800 in competition, I think, right?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. And then your best bench is what?
Well, 600, but I never hit it in a comp.
And then what about your squat?
804. And I did that with stage 5 kidney failure.
Wow.
With that bad edema. Yeah. So I play that game sometimes, like what if, you know, what if you never got sick? But it's like, you know, it is what it is. I think that if things would have kept going well, those numbers could have been a little bit more competitive with some of the all-time records, but, you know, I'll never know now.
Who do you kind of, who in your life like inspires you? Like who do you kind of, I don't know if it's like a family member or you have somebody that you kind of like, when things are bad, you're like, I can always kind of look to that person.
I don't think there's one. I think, you know, there's multiple people that, you know, motivate me. You're definitely one of them with your business and everything you're doing.
Appreciate that.
You know, and congrats on the supplement line.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And I think that there's people like Stan and what he's done post-career with his longevity. So there's multiple people that I think I can look to and say that, you know, they definitely motivate me or inspire me.
Have you coached anybody that's hit pretty big significant numbers yet?
Yeah. I had a guy, Mark Conover, and he ended up, I think, with a 2,100 total. He was 840 squat, a 530 bench, and then he deadlifted like 716 and missed his third.
Those are big numbers.
He's a super strong guy. I always told him, I'm like, you're going to be stronger than me. He competes at 275. He's just like this 5'10" muscle bound dude, and the most humble dude you'll ever meet.
What do you think of powerlifting today? Like when you started, which wasn't really that long ago.
No.
The sport was changing.
Right.
I kind of saw a lot of the changes. I saw a lot of people doing much more frequency. You know, they would hit their squats more often. They would bench more often, deadlifts. When I was a kid, it was very common for people they would squat one week, then they might focus in on a heavy bench, and then the next week they would focus on a heavy deadlift. Then West Side stuff came along, and you would do a little bit more. The frequency would be a little higher. But what do you think of powerlifting today? Like a lot of guys are squatting like multiple times a week, deadlifting multiple times a week, but the numbers are going through the roof.
Yeah, they're hitting heavy singles all the time. I think that it works for some people, but you got to also remember too is like the sport has grown in a population. So you have a lot more freaks that are getting into it. So you have a lot of more chances of people hitting big numbers. I don't think that style works for everybody. I think that there's a lot of people that do it because they see everyone do, or more people do it, and it's not working for them, but they just don't know any better. So I think that, you know, you have to take in consideration how many people are doing barbell movements now, which is a lot. The sport has grown a lot.
What worked for you when you were working with Chad? What did you guys change in terms of like improving your squat and adding all that weight to your total? Because you were already training at that point. So what was the adjustments?
Yeah, I think I spent a weekend down there and worked with Max Aida, and he had gave me a stance that really worked. So once I figured out my stance, because I was trying to mimic these other guys, because I'm tall and I have really long legs, so I'm trying to mimic these wide squats like Adam used to do, which were basically look like a plie squat. And it just wasn't working for me. I'm not built that way. I have tight hip sockets because I have very narrow hips. So a tighter stance, I get my power underneath me, and I was able to start building from there. So right away, that was the first time I hit a 700-pound squat, and I think a year and a half later, I hit an 800-pound squat. And I had been training for 15 years at that time. So you're not talking about like newbie gains, you're just talking about an adjustment in technique and dialing it in.
So you were trying to, I know the wide stance squat that you're talking about, but before that powerlifting type squat, how are you squatting before? Because I'm assuming you weren't squatting like that when you played football.
No, but I also wasn't hitting depth at all. Like you just I'd put 4 plates on there and just go as many times as I could. And then I was like, okay, I'm good here, and go to leg press and then do my lunges. And, I was very into like, for a short period of time, I was doing like fitness modeling. So it was just like, stay lean, stay muscular. Who cares about strength?
Did you ever think about getting into bodybuilding?
Not at all. No.
What about now?
No, I got too many injuries. I have a big gap in my chest.
Yeah, when you go to pose.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. But there's other avenues for that. I definitely want to get. One of my goals after I do my next meet is just to get as lean as possible. Because in longevity too, like the bigger you are, the harder it is on a kidney. So especially post transplant, I can't be eating 300 grams of protein a day. So I'm going to have to make a lot of adjustments. So getting a lighter body weight will give me a chance to maintain that transplant as long as I can.
So you've been lifting for a while now. So like when you do transition into a coach, like right now, currently, are you able to like see somebody's flaw and be like, do you need to tweak that, and then actually see it work?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are able to do that. But owning a gym, I see that on a daily basis. The issue is, when do you say something or when do you don't? So most of the time I keep my ideas to myself. If someone asks for my help, I'll give it to them.
You guys watching Love is Blind?
No.
Oh. What do you guys watch? You guys watch any shows together? You have opportunity for that?
Not so much. We're not really it's because she's busy full time in school, and I'm working, or like when I do dialysis, I have to be in a different room, and that's really when I watch TV. And then other than that, we're not really watching too much TV.
Dang it, man! You got to watch. I mean, you don't have to.
What's going on here? You guys are all like smiling.
Garbage TV. It's just the worst.
Garbage TV, but it's great.
Do you guys have like a night where you all watch it together?
We should.
We actually should.
I'm so down.
We watched.
Can we podcast live while doing that?
Like, damn, I can't believe he talked to her that way.
Yeah.
Right?
How is she so blind?
Oh my god!
I don't understand.
All right, it's really trashy reality TV. The whole premise of Love is Blind is that we're gonna go into this real quick. These people, there's a group of men and a group of women who don't see each other, and they have to have conversations with each other, like behind a wall, and then they have to pick, just based off of the conversation and the emotional chemistry, who are you gonna marry, right?
Yeah.
And then they never see him; they only see him after they propose, and then we're gonna see when they actually get physical and that end of things. Will love really be blind?
You guys have too much time.
I was just going to say, you guys really need to waste your time the way that we do.
Yeah. I knew he was going to roast me for that one.
The amazing thing is, too,
It sounds absolutely horrible.
but check this out. This is season 2 that we're into right now, okay? The first season came out the last time we were at the Arnold, like 2 years ago. So it just happened to spur up like perfect timing to be here
so you
again.
guys just started watching it.
Oh no, we saw season 1 2 years ago.
Yeah. We were.
Next time we're watching it, Steve's going to like pop up like in a little bubble in our head. Be like, you guys are wasting
Too
your
much time. Be productive.
Yeah. What's up with the apparel company?
It's just for the barbell. It was more of a way of just getting some more awareness out there. But you own a gym, and people are luckily a fan of the gym that we have, and we have some decent lifters there. So people are asking us for clothes. Nice. It was something that was a little bit overdue, and it's never going to turn into some big company, but it's just something that we do for the gym.
And what was the process like in comparison to running a gym? Is it another thing where you would instantly say, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit easier, like the licensing and getting the LLC and setting up the accounts. It was like a little bit easier.
Do you have this in a different color?
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't fucking Walmart, buddy, okay?
Yeah, pretty much. But like the real issue is like getting the right sizes. Like we sold out of like larges and mediums like almost in our first week. Wow. So we had to go back and get more reprinted. But now we have like an excess of extra smalls, and we like got too many crop tops. Apparently no women like our brand. We have like no women. And what the funny part is, we have a lot of girls at the gym, but they all like to wear the other stuff. You know, but we got like some crop tops and some stuff like that, and nobody wants them. So I told my assistant manager, because he's the one that ordered them, that he has to start wearing them.
I think that could be a marketing ploy. That could be our tagline. No women like our products.
Yeah. Don't come here.
And then they'll probably start buying them, you know?
Well, we had like one woman, she was like, get a train with Lauren. Lauren also does a little bit of personal training. But they had met up at the gym, and she had gotten there early before Lauren could meet her. So we have a little like welcome area. She's sitting on the couch. Lauren walks in, and the woman walks out and like, I don't think this is appropriate gym for me. I don't want my teenage daughter around all these guys, because there's like a bunch of muscle bound dudes with their shirts off. And I'm like, yeah, like, why would that be any more intimidating than any other gym? Like, if anything, our gym is so more laid back than like an LA. Like, no one's gonna walk up and hit on your underage daughter. Like, we're it's a bunch of like good dudes. We got a good group of guys there.
That's awesome. Yeah, are you guys doing like nose torque and like slapping the chalk bowl like Mark and all that stuff?
Well, I don't do much of that, but the rest of the guys do. Yeah, it's a good time. Like they support each other. They definitely hype each other up, and they definitely like to get loud.
For business, did you have anyone that kind of helped you out or mentored you or gave you some advice, or did you just was it just trial by fire?
Well, actually, like I picked Bart Kwan is the owner of Barbell Brigade, and I picked his brain a lot. And then I found out he doesn't do much at that gym. He just kind of owns it, and there's some other managers, and he was just kind of like, you're gonna have to ask these questions to someone else. So I started asking the manager there, and so that was like a little bit of how I got started, but a lot of it was just figuring it out. I had asked. I think I asked you for advice the first time I opened a gym, and I had asked, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. He owns Ironmongers out there in San Diego. Anyway, one of the side effects of dialysis is brain fog, so I have like really bad brain farts. But anyway, his best advice to me was like, just jump into it. You know, like no one's going to prepare you for these things. You're just going to have to kind of figure out how you go. Have a plan, but also have a backup plan, and then have a backup plan to your backup plan, because it's never going to go the way you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
Are you religious, and did you maybe have any religious things happen like while you were sick?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm religious. I don't think one religion got it right, you know? I think that the fact that there are so many religions and have been so many religions tells me that there's probably a greater power. So I kind of just look at it that way. And yeah, man, I think you have a lot of conversations with yourself, especially like when you really do think that it's coming to an end or could come to an end. You're kind of sitting there and like you look back at your life and kind of think about what was important and what wasn't. So I wouldn't know if I would say it was like a spiritual moment. I wasn't talking to anybody, just kind of having these conversations with myself. I wasn't like asking for forgiveness or you know, praying for help or anything like that. It was more so just like, you know, the things that I wanted to do going forward and the things that I didn't.
So nowadays, like you've gone through that experience, and it's probably changed you in quite a few different ways. What do you think? How do you live life differently? What, like when you go day by day?
Not giving a fuck anymore.
Really?
No, I don't. Like it's like a lot of things that like used to bother me that just don't. Like I used to be, wanting to grow my brand, wanting to grow my social media, wanting to be active in the powerlifting community, wanted to be known. Like it wasn't like a big motivator for me to be like, I want to be this big famous guy, but it was like something that was important to me because I thought it was going to help my business. But most people at my gym don't even know who the fuck I am. They don't know I even powerlifted. They're just like, hey, yeah, you're kind of a big guy. What do you do? And I'm like, I do a lot of yoga these days, like a lot of meditation. But they have no clue who I am. Yeah. And I'm proud of that. I branded a gym that had nothing to do with me, and that has grown into its own thing. So I'm proud of that. And I think that now, now that it's successful and I'm able to kind of relax a little bit, like, no, dude, I just don't give a fuck anymore.
That's awesome. That's the way to be.
Yeah.
You guys planning on starting a family at some point?
Absolutely not. We got 2 dogs. That's where it's ending.
What kind of dogs?
I got a French bulldog. His name's Bo, and then I got a American Bully, and I actually bought him from Julius Maddox.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he runs a kennel club, and they're all thick like him, so Ajax is going to be a monster. I told him he's going to go after his bench record.
Did you always know that you didn't want kids, or was that just like that something happened later?
Dude, I mean, it was like kind of like something that I wanted when I was younger. And then as I got older, I was like, yeah, it seems like a pain in the ass. And then when I got sick, like, dude, I'm not guaranteed to live a very long life. Like, I'll be lucky if I make it to 60. So, being closer to 40, I don't really want to do that to a kid.
Yeah. Well, I was in the same boat. I definitely did not want kids, none whatsoever, and I have 2 now.
Yeah, everyone says it. Everyone's like, oh, you never know. You never know. I'm like, no, I know.
That's cool. You're like, no, I know.
No. Well, plus, I don't even think I could have kids at this point. Through everything I've been through, and now probably shooting blanks.
Where can people find you if they want to find out more information about you and find your gym?
Yeah, we got a website up. It's IndyCityBarbell.com. I'm on Instagram, PT Fitness 500, and you can find the gym on Instagram as well, Indy City.
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Please like today's episode and drop a comment down below. Even if you're on the iTunes or Spotify, come over to YouTube and let us know what you guys think about today's podcast. Please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, where you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you all later. Bye.